All right, welcome everybody to the Reading Chamber of Commerce City Builders podcast. And today I am joined by Tracy Edwards, the CEO of the Reading Rancheria, and we're going to talk about all of the things that have happened for the Rancheria in 2024, including the casino relocation project, the Health Village, which is going to break ground imminently in the North State, right next to the current casino. We're going to talk about the tribe's legacy, some of the history, and where the tribe is going. So stay tuned and join us for the City Builders podcast. Welcome to the City Builders podcast, brought to you by the Reading Chamber of Commerce. I'm Todd Jones, President and CEO. In each episode, we bring you insights from local business leaders, tackle important issues, and explore what's shaping the future of Reading. Whether you're a business owner or just interested in our community's growth, this podcast is something for you. Thanks for joining us. This is City Builders. The City Builders podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the Chamber, and we could not do business without them. All right, well, Tracy, thank you for being here today.
Yes.
It's great to have you here. The Reading Rancheria has been a longtime supporter of the Chamber, so it's really great to have you on the podcast to talk about all the things that are going on in your world. 2024 has been a big year for the tribe. So, maybe give us a recap. You just had State of the City recently. Give us maybe just a high-level recap, and then we can dive into a few of the issues that happened in 2024 for the Reading Rancheria.
Absolutely. Obviously, if you follow the news at all, the big news for the tribe was that we were able to get our land that we own on I-5 into trust. It was a process that we've been going through for 20 plus years. Ever since my role as the CEO, that's been the number one priority. So we feel really good about that. And what that means is that the tribe will be able to start working on building our casino on I-5 and moving our current casino over to I-5. That's the one that everybody talks about. But I think, for the tribe, healthcare is huge. Before we build a casino, we'll be building a health village, and that is a $200 million project. It's got a health and wellness component. It's got a Western medicine side. It's got preventative side. So that's been extremely exciting. So we'll be breaking ground on that hopefully in January. So that's kind of on the top of the list right now. On top of opening Center for Advanced Care, that is a clinic in town that provides specialty care to patients. Healthcare has been huge for the tribe this year, on top of business growth, tribal growth, employment growth. So, it has been an amazing year for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember one of my favorite days in Leadership Reading. I was class of 2018. I won't do the corny tagline. It was a great class, though. But Leadership Reading, I think my favorite day, because I felt like I was kind of plugged into a lot of things, but my favorite day was actually Healthcare Day when we got to meet with Glenn. Is that correct? Glenn Hayward at the office here downtown, and learning about the level of care that you guys have and really who you're treating. I mean, anyone that's here, and then you're covering your tribal members all over the world. Well, it's a really complex, interesting
It is.
system.
And I think, maybe somebody has a perception that we only provide care to our tribal members. We only have about 400 tribal members. So we provide care to all of our employees, all of their families. We provide care to all the Native Americans in the Western 2/3 of Shasta County and all of Trinity County. So the last count I think that I heard is we're about 22,000 patients in the community that we provide for. Yeah, so
That's
it's
amazing.
huge. Yeah.
And then in Trinity County, I'm from Weaverville originally.
Okay.
That center up there is, the nicest facility Trinity County's ever seen for anything.
Cool.
It's an amazing place, and you're treating a lot of people there, not just tribal members. You're treating really the entire
the community. It's a majority of the community. And, we're responsible for care for Native Americans in Trinity County. For years, we had a satellite clinic for a while. We bussed people up to our clinics. We couldn't quite make it work the way we wanted to, and we had this vision, and we built this building. We rented a building first to make sure that this was going to work out, and then we built this amazing facility that is culturally appropriate. It's beautiful when you go in. There's a water wall. It's nicer than my office and anything we have. So, and also, as the CEO, I didn't have the expectation of how gratifying that was going to be. The people in the community are, they're so thankful. was talking to one of our doctors today, and she said she goes up, once a month, and every single one of her patients thanks her.
Yeah.
When they leave, they thank her for being there, thank her for the care. So it has been very satisfying, and it's been one of the highlights of my in my role as a CEO.
Yeah, it's a great facility, and not just for the patients, but for the physicians too. I believe,
Yeah.
I could be mistaken, but I believe some of the primary care doctors up there who have been serving that community for a very long time, the overhead and that burden of having your own clinic was a lot for them, and so being able to practice there has been a huge blessing for those primary care
We
providers
have
as well.
physicians who live there, and then we also, some in Reading, head up there, to continue so we can see enough patients. So we have a mix of people who live up there and people in Reading who go up and serve up there. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's been cool.
And then you're going to have break ground in January, so just a short time away on
Yes.
this new facility,
Yes.
which I think has been kind of overshadowed by the casino.
It has,
Because this is a
I know.
really big facility, and I've
It
had the
is.
opportunity at State of the Tribe. We got to see the fly through.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I believe that was where I saw it. And
Yes.
it's just
It is.
It's going to be, again,
I'm
one of the nicest
excited.
facilities we have.
Yes, I'm excited for it. There's an indoor suspended 2-story walking track. I don't know why that's the
Yeah.
thing that I'm
That's
excited
cool.
about.
That's very cool.
So if you are down on the Rancheria, if you look across Clear Creek, people ask where it's located. We purchased land from the McConnell Foundation many, many years ago. And it was a great agreement with McConnell Foundation because they don't usually sell land.
Yeah.
And we met with them and we explained to them, what we had hoped to do there. They agreed with that vision. They sold us this land. And so I think it's about 76 acres or so. And we'll be breaking ground. It's been a long haul. And we will serve patients there. Also, we'll be building a bridge. So that's another thing in my world. I never thought that I would learn about
Build a bridge?
suspension
Infrastructure,
bridges
yeah.
and in infrastructure, and the bridge will not be going into the water. So that's a whole thing. So we'll be building a bridge so that you can access the clinic from the Rancheria. You can go over the bridge and be on that land. The bridge will come a little bit later, though, so in the meantime, we'll have to be driving around 273 to get on the property. But it's a don't ask me square footage, huge building that's kind of divided into two parts. So on the one half, you'll have your Western medicine. You can see your doctor. You can go to the pharmacy. You can get physical therapy. And then on the other half is the wellness component, exercise classes, swim, yogas, indoor, outdoor pools, walking tracks, weights, Pilates. I don't know. You name it.
It's like a resort.
Yeah,
It looks
exactly,
like a resort.
Exactly.
Yeah, the fly through.
Yeah.
And
so-
I think the other interesting thing from Leadership Reading I learned was, and this might be a little bit too detailed for today's purposes, and maybe I can have Glenn on next year sometime too, but I think a lot of people think that the gaming is paying for the healthcare.
Yeah.
I think that's a misconception that I certainly had.
Yep.
And that's not the case.
Right.
And the model for tribal health is just much more sustainable. I mean, it's better for the patients, it's better for the healthcare providers, it's better for everybody, and you're able to provide a higher level of care because reimbursement rates are a lot better. I think that's really fundamentally the big takeaway
and
that I had.
It is, and we're a government, so just like government, we have certain revenues and certain pots of money, and things have to be spent on certain things. So in our healthcare world, we get reimbursements for the care we provide, but we're obligated to put that money back into healthcare. That's not profits. We don't distribute that money to shareholders or members. We don't. It doesn't go into a pot and pay for a casino or anything else. It has to be spent on healthcare. So we have been saving money and working towards this health village. So we're able to pay for a good portion of this health village with reimbursements that we've gotten for the care that we provided. Completely separate. Casino and the health clinics are completely separate beasts.
That's interesting. Wow, that's so fascinating. And really overall, and you guys talk about this quite a bit, but you are a sovereign nation. I mean, you're your own government. You operate independently. Tell us a little bit more about, maybe break down some of the different components of that so people can really understand. Because I think, again, that's another common misconception. People don't quite understand, the full scope of what the tribe is.
Yeah, so it's funny. Years ago, I think, when you thought of the tribe, you just thought of the casino. And,
The bingo room.
Yeah, the bingo hall.
Yeah.
And I think we've tried really hard over the years to be transparent, and which has been a big change because 2 generations ago, and even 1 generation ago, my mother. So my mother lived in Anderson, went to Anderson High School, and they were taught then, not to tell anybody that you're Native. So, you grow up in this world of not talking about it. My grandmother definitely wasn't talking about it with anybody. She served on the council many, many years ago. So we've gone from, our elders, not trusting, haven't been treated well. So they don't want to share.
Rightfully so,
Yeah.
not trusting.
Right. And so they don't want to share what we're doing. To now, we're trying so hard to be transparent in what we do. We just held a State of the Tribe event where we're trying to educate. We're part of Leadership Reading because we're trying to educate. So I think hopefully we're doing better. Hopefully if you're in this community, you're at least aware of the notion that you have a tribe in your community, near your community, that's a sovereign government.
Right.
Just like any other government. Right. We have a governing body. So we have a tribal council that works like a city council or like a county board of supervisors. I'm like a city manager or a CEO of the county. That's the best way people understand it. We have constituents who vote on things, that we serve a community, and then we have a wider community of Native Americans who aren't in our tribe, but we're responsible for them and their health care. And then we believe that we're responsible for the entire community. But like a government, we have programs, we have economic development, we tax, and we provide for our constituents. So very similar to any other government.
Yeah. And you guys do a great job getting your name out there. And I think you guys are part of so many things. And again, and I was talking to Jake, my predecessor at the chamber, and he was explaining to me that, the Rancheria was really the only supporter of the chamber from a sponsorship level for many years because they just believed in what we were doing. We're all trying to, I think, collectively move the community forward. And you guys have done a great job just being involved. And tell us about your communications director. I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah.
So we are not only a government, we're a family. And so I was just talking to a group of employees today. We're actually going to try to do some social media posts on relatives who work together.
Oh, nice.
We have lots of...
It's a big family.
It is. It's a big family. And when you come on board, you become part of the family. So Miranda Edwards is our communication director, my daughter. And she has been amazing and helpful and, stepping up because we need our young people in the tribe to step up.
Yeah.
So we are a family with lots of relations in the tribe. I always, a piece of advice I always give new employees is don't gossip about anybody because we're all related and we're all connected. Yeah, right. So, you don't know all the connections, and we're in a small community too. So we're all related or connected somehow.
Right.
So.
Right. And so what does that mean to have your daughter come back and work for the tribe? Did your mom work for the tribe? Is that correct? Or
Yeah,
your
she did. My grandma was on one of the original tribal councils.
Okay.
She lived on the Rancheria. My mom was born and raised on the Rancheria. She worked for the tribe for many, many years until she retired. I have Miranda that works for the tribe. My oldest son works in our public works department.
Oh, great.
Tyler, and so he's doing well. So it's a family affair. Lots of us have our, my COO, Stacy, her daughter works for the tribe, her son works for the tribe. So I've been around long enough that I'm now employing my children's friends.
Yeah.
So we have new employee breakfast, and I show up and I'm like, wait, you used to spend the night at my house,
Right.
So that's not hard for me, but it's interesting to me that I've been around long enough now that,
Fair.
The kids that we raised are now stepping up and stepping in. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you guys provide a lot of scholarships and opportunities.
Yes.
And, you're bringing back, and your daughter, for example, went to Stanford, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So,
go Cardinals.
So she, you have this new generation that's coming in and stepping up, and it's just inspiring to see, because a lot of employers, and you guys are a government and you're a very different entity, but are having these issues with succession planning, and people are retiring. But I see younger people coming into the Rancheria right now, and it's great
I'm
to
glad
see.
you mentioned that. I think that's something that I do like people to know about the tribe. We have a scholarship program, and we have a lot of highly educated tribal members. We have a very high school graduation rate. We have a group that goes to trade school. I was thinking the other day, we have 3 tribal member women, including myself, who are all alumni of UCLA.
Oh, nice. Go
so
Bruins.
Miranda chose not to go to UCLA, but we have 2 other tribal members. My niece just graduated this year, so I am so proud, we have about 200 adult members, but we have some pretty highly educated people in the tribe. So So we'll be okay.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
be
great.
okay in the future.
And we didn't talk about this prior, but I was at a event earlier this week where they were talking about early childhood education, and you guys have your own early childhood education things, opportunities at the Rancheria.
Yep.
In addition to, if I'm not mistaken, I believe someone recently said you were building like a daycare
Yes,
center there for your
yes.
employees, which is a huge barrier for people to work, not having childcare. So, and we
Yes.
didn't talk about this prior, but can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
the early childhood education and the childcare that you have at the Rancheria?
Yes. So I like to say the three executives in our tribe are women. We grew up together. Our
amazing.
children grew up together, and we know how hard it is to get to work, get the kids to school, be able to, try to have a well life, working out. So we knew we needed to bring that to work. Our Head Start program, we built our Head Start program. Oh my gosh, in the early 1990s. All three of my children have gone through the program, and that is an early childhood program. We have a native flair on it, so the kids learn culture, they learn language. I will be the first to admit that our kids know more words than I do.
Oh.
I'm a lost generation
Yeah.
that didn't have that opportunity. So we have put some pride back in them to learn the language. And now, it's you're proud to be Native American, and that's not the way it was my generation and the generation prior to that. So I think we instill that in the kids, and then it takes them on into the school world, and they do better.
Yeah.
We just built another classroom. Gosh, I think we have 3 classrooms, 3 aftercare classrooms, and we're working on an infant care.
That's right. Is that for tribal members and employees, or just
That
tribal
would
members
be,
right now?
yes, it would be both.
Okay.
It would be both. So we have to staff it, though. There's a
Yeah.
shortage of teachers.
Yeah.
Shortage of
a big
teachers right
issue.
now.
It's
So
a really big
if you
issue.
have an early childhood education career or credits, go to the website.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
We're
good to
looking
know.
for teachers.
Wow, it's amazing. And how many employees total do you have at the Rancheria?
So across everything, our economic development, our casino, our tribal government offices, we're close to 900 employees right now.
Wow.
I think our tribal government office is a couple hundred. Our clinics are a couple hundred, and it all adds up. So,
Yeah.
so I say about 900.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you're one of the biggest employers in
Yes.
Shasta County.
Yeah, yes. I think after the city, county, and a couple hospitals, we're probably right up there.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us more about the casino.
Okay.
So the big news this
Yes.
year. It's all
Yes.
you guys have been working on it for a very long time.
Very long time. Yes. So let's see. Where do I start? Couple first questions I always get. Wind River Casino in its current location will shut down,
Okay.
so there won't be 2 casinos. We reached an agreement with the federal government. We could have more than one casino, but it was something that we agreed to do, that we would shut down the one casino when we moved to the other. So I envision the lights going off
Yeah.
on 273 as the lights are going on I-5. I call it the pretty picture phase. Architectural renderings, I think, is
They're very pretty pictures
the more
right now.
professional
Yeah.
term. We're through that phase, and then we took a pause, and it took a while to get the land into trust. So we hadn't been working on it after the pretty picture phase. We are in the phase where we're getting construction documents in place, and then we will go out to bid. I wish that we were turning dirt over tomorrow.
Right.
I am asked daily,
I'm sure.
many times a day, when the casino will start on that as soon as we can. If I had to guess, I would hope within the year
Okay.
that we will be turning some ground and doing some groundwork or some infrastructure work on the casino. So in the meantime, we raised a tribal flag, and that was interesting. It was symbolic,
Right.
but also as our public works crew was out moving dirt around, frenzy of people calling, "Yeah, oh my God, I
You're
can't
building
believe you're
right
building,
now."
you're building
Yeah.
right now." So it was, yes, I wish we were, but it was, we are just not quite there yet.
Sure.
We'll go out to construction. We have committed to using local vendors, local subs. We'll require them to use local vendors if at all possible. So there's a lot of work to be had coming up. My fear is coming to fruition that we're going to be building 2 major projects simultaneously.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we, it's been a joke. It's been a bet, which one's going to go first. So it looks like clearly the clinic will go first, and then hopefully the casino will go shortly after.
Okay. Maybe paint the picture of what that new project looks like, because there's kind of original plans that were floated around. Again, you guys are transparent. I see this a lot, but maybe not everybody that listens to this podcast or watches a clip knows the full scope. So tell us about where the scope is right now for the casino.
Yeah. So when you ask about why, the casinos are being moved to I-5, I think one of the things that people aren't aware of is there was a Treaty H that was about 30 square miles that included the I-5 property and the property we're at now. It was a treaty that was never ratified, one of the many California treaties that weren't ratified. We believed it was ratified, but it wasn't. It was put under.
When was this time frame?
In the 1800s.
Okay.
In the 1800s.
Way before I-5.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't ratified, but had it been officially ratified, the whole area would have been our tribal lands anyways. So we consider
30 square miles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole area
Sure.
is obviously
Of course.
homelands to different native tribes, but we feel that the I-5 property wasn't just by chance that we just chose to relocate there.
Yeah, that's great. So it goes back to the 1800s, and now it's finally coming to fruition.
Yes.
After hundreds of years.
Yes.
Not just 20 years putting it into trust.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
One thing I think people don't realize is the footprint of the plan that we have right now is 19 acres. So I think maybe people had some vision that it was going to be Vegas lights from one intersection to the next. There's a 19-acre footprint that we will build the casino, an event center, and a hotel on, the resort. That will go on there. That's where we're at right now. I suppose, and more likely down the road, we'll look at retail and we'll look at some other things. But currently, there's no plans for that at the time. Our goal is to get the casino and the resort built. It's a specific 19 acres that when we went through the federal process, we had to identify that. Studies were done on that, so that won't move. That will. It's more on the north end of the property that we own is where the casino will be. We're at I just looked at numbers, 90,000 square foot casino, 250 room hotel, 2,000 seat event center. And then I was looking, which I thought was interesting, we'll be able to house 1,000 people banquet style.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a very big venue.
Yes. And so we want to bring conventions to town. One of the things we want to reach out to that we don't have the ability to do right now is bring in big conventions,
Right.
bring people into the community. So we need that space so that we can, feed them, have the meeting space. So that'll be something that we'll work hard on.
That's great. If I can add my 2 cents, I would love to see more breakout rooms because
Yes.
it's a big challenge right now. We have
Yes.
hotels with a conference room, but there's not a lot of opportunity for breakout rooms. So if you have a
Absolutely.
conference, one big meeting hall, if you're able to even just partition the rooms,
Yes,
I'm sure you guys are probably
absolutely.
pretty far down the path. But
Yes.
I think that'd be a big benefit to our area to be able to bring more conventions and conferences. I know at the chamber that we run Visit Reading as well, and we also work with Reading Tourism and Marketing Group, and they're talking to events and conferences and associations, and we just don't have everything we need right now in terms of infrastructure to host these big events. So I think this new property has got a lot of promise
Absolutely.
for some cool events.
Absolutely. And I think that, my perspective, we all know that there's been some groups that have opposed this process
Sure.
along the way. In my world, I think the everyday people of Reading are excited. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere, another entertainment venue, a cool place to go for dinner, jobs, the casino. I was checking my numbers before I came on. We're looking at an additional 900 permanent jobs. I mean, that's insane.
That's, incredible.
So the casino employs close to 400 right now. So we're more than doubling our staff at the casino and the resort and the hotel and the restaurants and stuff. So we're looking at 900 more jobs. The estimate is that will be about 1,000 construction jobs. I mean, the construction industry's chomping at the bit.
I'm sure.
I'm
sure.
I don't know how many local guys are like, we have to go out of town for work like
Right.
this. This will be a few years build out.
Yeah.
As the health clinic or health village, and anything else we're going to do. So there's going to be a lot of construction jobs here while we build this thing out.
Yeah, and it's interesting too to think about. Let's look forward, 10 or 15 years or something like that, and look back and what we're going to have there. And I mean, think about the controversial things that have happened in our community over the last 10 years. I mean, there's been so many different areas of things that people have pushed back on. This has been a frequent one over the years, but then you look back and you're like, wow, that's a nice amenity. I mean, even the Sheraton Hotel.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a big battle
yes.
to get through. And with certain, there was different reasons people didn't like that, but you look back now and you're like, wow, that was I'm glad we have the Sheraton.
You hit it right on the head.
Right.
Jake, years ago when we talked about it, he had literally reached out to other chambers. For example, the casino in Sacramento, lots of pushback. It's a huge casino.
The one in the Folsom
Thunder
area?
Valley. Yeah,
Okay.
Thunder Valley.
Okay.
I think it's one of the highest revenue earning ones in California, higher than the Southern California tribes. They must draw from the Bay Area and Tahoe area. They had pushback, residents, years of infighting about this. And, he was good. He went out and he reached out to other chambers presidents, and they're like, oh my gosh, no, we love the casino.
Right.
We all of that bad vibes, in the past,
Right.
that's all gone.
Yeah.
They turned out to be good neighbors, good partners. They've given back to the community. I know that's what's going to happen here.
Right.
And like you said, there was pushback on the Sheraton. There's always pushback on, big projects like that.
Right.
In the end, I
Not
know
in my
that-
backyard.
Yeah. A lot of people are going to say though, oh, this was good for the community.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt.
And I know you have to answer these questions all the time, but maybe what are some common ones that you think are worth talking about again now? Some of the frequent concerns that you hear from people.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of me asking you
Yeah.
some specifically, you can tell me some of the ones that you think are worth sharing again in this
Right.
context, just so there's a little bit more clarity
Absolutely.
on these.
I would love to.
Because there's a lot of there's a lot of misconceptions out there on what's happening. And when you sit down and talk to somebody really about anything, a lot of times you'll find out there's a lot more to the story.
Right.
But tell us about some of the
Yeah. I think one
concerns.
of the ones I get asked is, why are you moving to I-5? Seriously? Why
Yeah.
is Chick-fil-A building a second location on I-5? Why did
With
Costco
3
move there?
drive-throughs at Chick-fil-A right
Yeah,
there.
I mean, why did Save Mart move to I-5? It was 20 years ago when we bought the property. That was the plan. It's I-5. What else are you going to do? So why are we moving to I-5? Obviously for a business reason.
Right.
We have 30 acres. Our Rancheria is on 30 acres. There's a school, there's a government office, and there's residents. We can't expand.
Right.
And I think it's unfair to expect that the tribe is not going to grow and expand just like any other business in the community wants to grow and expand. So we need to move if we want to grow and expand. Also,
How big is the I-5 property? Sorry, put you on the
200,
spot.
200 plus acres.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
a lot bigger than what you currently
Oh,
have.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that people say this one, the entrance to Reading is not going to be pretty. And we've heard the other side of that too. So I-5 Rentals is the entrance to
Right,
Reading,
right.
and we love I-5 Rentals,
Right.
and I think you've seen the schematics.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen Rolling Hills. It's a beautiful building down there. We're not going to build something that's an eyesore. We're not going
Yours
to
is
put
going
up
to be prettier than that one.
absolutely.
So I think the
we-
renderings are
yes,
amazing.
and we've committed to not put up neon lights and flashy, Vegas. We don't want a Vegas style casino. We want a culturally appropriate tribal casino. So I think I've heard that one. I've heard that there's going to be unfair competition when we put retail down on I-5. What if a Cabela's goes down 5? It's it's going to put people out of business, or they don't pay taxes so they can undercut. Not true. So any outside business that comes and does business on a rancheria, any rancheria or reservation, are still required to pay state and local taxes. So
Okay.
I think there's a misconception to that. There was a very recent court case in Washington with the Tulalip tribe, and the court ruled, yes, indeed, the state can tax outside retailers who do business on rancherias or reservations. So, any business that comes down there is going to pay the same tax as anybody else. They're going to remit the tax where it needs to go. So I hear that one. I hear that will you put a drain on the system, with fire and law enforcement. That one kills me too, because as you are aware, and anybody who follows the news, we negotiated an agreement with the county. We attempted to negotiate an agreement with the city too. I suspect we'll still work on agreements with the city, but we're going to pay per use. I don't know what other business does that. So not only are we going to pay every time law enforcement shows up or every time fire shows up, we also pay a utility agreement. Now, above and beyond the commercial rates, we pay $120,000 a year for mitigation on impacts to the city. We pay fees on all kinds of things.
Right.
We also are required in our compact to hold a piece of the net revenue to pay to local and county governments. There are so many pots of money that we're required to have or pay, or that we voluntarily have done, that we will pay for mitigation, pay for law enforcement, pay for fire. And who knows, down the road, we might build our own law enforcement or our own fire department. But we pay for those services in addition to paying for fees.
Right.
Another one I hear is, the county's not going to get property taxes. We agreed to pay 20 years up front of property taxes to the tune of, I think, $1.6 million. When I-5 Casino opens, we'll pay 20 years up front property taxes. Just here's $1.6 million. And when land gets taken into trust, the Department of Interior pays the local jurisdiction the lost property tax revenue. So, there's a pot of money there to make up for jurisdictions who lose property tax.
Right.
So that's one thing I hear too.
Wow.
I know. Those
There's
are just some of the things I hear.
There's a lot. Well, that's an exciting project in a pretty aggressive timeline. So I'm excited to see.
Yeah,
I'm excited
I know.
to see how it's all going to come
Have
together.
me back next year and we'll see
Yeah,
where we
all
are
right,
on
we'll
that.
check in. We'll check in. We'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more maybe about yourself. I mean, you grew up here.
I did,
You're from
yes.
here. Your family's from here.
Yes.
Tell us where you're from, originally where your family's from, where your descendants are from. And I mean, tell us what you love about the North State.
Yeah, well, born and raised and bred. I'm an Anderson High School graduate, Prairie School and Pacheco School.
Okay.
My parents went to Anderson Middle School and Pacheco School. My father-in-law taught at Anderson High School. I'm an Anderson Cub, if you can't tell. So I'm very proud of that.
Good,
My
good for you.
children went to Anderson High School. So very proud that I'm born and bred in the community. Went away to school. It's funny, I'll be honest, when I went away to school, I was never coming back here.
Right.
And
Did you go to UCLA directly for undergrad?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's a
culture
big change.
shock.
That's a very big change.
Culture shock. And then decided, I actually knew I wanted to be an attorney. And so I went to law school in Davis and then made my way back home. I served as the tribe's attorney for 10 years before I took this current role. So I think I'm 28 years with the tribe and 18 years as the CEO and 10 years as the tribe's attorney. So,
Wow.
my whole family's from here. Longer ago than that, I'm a descendant of the Pit River tribe. I'm a part of the Medici band of the Pit River tribe, which is in Bernie. So my grandmother was from Bernie and from the mountains.
Wow.
So,
That's
yeah.
amazing. So what's your favorite thing about the North State? I mean, tell us, besides the Rancheria and your family and all the stuff that you do for your day job, but tell us about what else. I mean, you have deeper roots than any of us have in this area.
For sure. I think that somebody one time was in a meeting with me and was arguing and said she's a fourth generation or something like that. And I had to just not laugh at that. At any rate, I think, until you move away though, when you're, and I feel that for the kids in this area, you're from a small town, you go to a small high school and you just want to get away and get out. And I think it's not until you leave that you realize what it is here.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so I remember headed over Cottonwood Hill, moving to LA thinking I'm never coming back here.
Right.
And I'm so glad I came. My husband and I got pregnant and there was no way I was going to raise a kid in LA.
Yeah.
So
And your husband's from here as well.
yeah. Yes. Junior high school sweethearts.
Wow, my gosh, that's amazing.
So we came home. We knew we had to come home. So I applied to the northernmost accredited law school at the time, which was Davis. Had my first son and had Miranda while I was in law school.
Wow.
And luckily,
That's amazing.
This is the thing about our tribe. I had no experience, had graduated from law school, and our CEO, tribal member before me, Barbara Murphy's like, absolutely, come work for the tribe. So I came back and got my job, my first attorney job, and literally learned on the job.
That's amazing.
So you ask about my favorite. I think it's the beauty.
Yeah.
It's the hiking, it's the lakes. But until you leave it, you don't really get it.
Yeah. I mean, I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17 from Weaverville, and I went to San Diego, of course, for training. And then my first duty station was in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah.
So I love D.C. still, but yeah, very big change. Then I went to Okinawa, Japan. So you as a kid, basically leaving home, it's you realize real quick what you had. So
absolutely,
and I think that's one of the things that we try to do at the chamber now, and working with everyone in the community is, talent attraction is such a big deal. So, how can we get those boomerang kids like your daughter, like your kids? How can we get them to come back to the area and serve this area and, realize how good they have it and build that workforce
absolutely.
across all of our different sectors. So,
and I think it's, having some cool jobs, you don't want to come back and just maybe work in retail or something like that. I think in our case, like the Tribe, we have everything.
Right.
You want to be a doctor? We need doctors. You want to be a teacher? I think we have jobs across the board. So we want our kids to come back and work for us. I think working for the Tribe, it doesn't get more personal, and you can't get more invested than having the family come and work for the Tribe.
Yeah. Touch a little bit on Redco. So most folks know I used to work at the Shasta EDC, and I had a privilege to meet with Jeremy Hayward several times about all the work that Redco is doing, the Redding Rancheria Economic Development Corporation.
Yes.
And they're doing a lot of stuff. In
They
the last
are.
few years,
Yes.
they have done a lot more than I think, from what I've seen, ever done in the path forward in the future for them. There's a lot of opportunities. So I think the big one that I'm curious about that I won't go too deep on, but
You're going to ask me about biomass.
the project in Red Bluff, the H2EG.
Yes,
And again, I won't prod too much into all the specifics because I'm kind of a biomass nerd.
Okay.
But that project has a lot of potential to make renewable hydrogen fuel
Yes.
from woody biomass.
I know.
Which is an amazing project.
It is.
And Jeremy's spearheading this, and he's working with a different group, a partnership there. Tell us a little bit more about that and
Yes.
any other projects that you want to highlight for Redco.
Well, I think the one thing I want to say is having a tribal member work in that role, he's taken it to the next level. So, and you can't get, more harder working, than what he's doing, what I'm doing. It's for our future generations.
Right.
So if you want a purposeful job, you couldn't get more purposeful than that. Yes. So with this hydrogen facility, science stuff way above my things.
Right.
But we are working with the city of Red Bluff. They have been great partners, excited to have us. We received a grant. We'll be building a hydrogen facility, and you take the woody biomass on the floor, you turn that into hydrogen. The last time I met with Jeremy, he said now they're looking at medical waste, being able to turn that into hydrogen fuel also. So lots of potential, very futuristic. And I think one of the things about Redco this time around is we're really focusing on environmental things, things that make the world a better place. Really, an economic development corporation could just be about money and jobs.
Right.
But I think it's been very important for us to make sure that the things that we're doing matter and matter for the future.
Yeah.
So I think that's a direction that Redco has gone into with, one of the companies is cleaning up the forest floors, because obviously we have an issue with wildfires, so that's going to make a difference in the future. So that's another business piece he's working on. He's working on the hydrogen plant.
In the Forest 4 one, that's the vegetation management company.
Yes.
And you sent some folks out to the East Coast
Yes,
for
we
hurricane
did.
cleanup.
Yeah, they're still out there, actually.
They're still there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, we have 10 crews out there, and they're still working on the hurricane cleanup.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I've talked to Jeremy over the years, his passion really comes through pretty clear.
Yeah.
Like why he's doing it, why it matters, what future generations, taking care of the environment, like you said. It's a pretty clear alignment of the future.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's pretty inspiring.
So when I say, you want to be a scientist, come, there's just so many different things. Sometimes I get overwhelmed with thinking everything our little tribe is doing. By standards of tribes, land base, we are small.
Right.
One of the smallest tribes in California. I'm not. There's probably a couple, maybe smaller. In terms of numbers of members, we're a small to mid-sized tribe, but the Redding Rancheria is known statewide and nationally. We're kind of we're ahead of the game on some of the stuff we do. We've worked well with our communities, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the work that the Redding Rancheria does and the recognition that we get statewide and nationally.
Yeah, that's great. So besides just the Rancheria, where do you see the North State in 20 years?
Good question. I think it's a balance of the small town vibe, but also having the cool jobs in the future that make the people want to come back. That's a hard balance, and it's a discussion that we're always having in this community from the old school club or whatever, that thinks we shouldn't do this.
Good old boys.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I kind of feel like we do have to get the cool eating places in town. We didn't have that before. We need more of it. We need more
Right.
culturally diverse restaurants. We need more culture in the community. But we also want to keep, the small town feel. So
Right.
that's your job, right?
Yeah.
To figure that out.
Yeah.
So I think in 20 years, we have that balance. We'll still have the small town vibe, but we'll have the cool places to frequent. We'll have great jobs, high-paying jobs, so that our kids come back. That's what I see.
That's awesome. Tell us about your partnership with the Reading Rodeo Association.
Okay. So the Reading Rodeo Association has been in the community a long time. They've been here for a long time, and they know where the community's been and where we're going. We were really excited. We haven't been able to build a powwow ground yet. That's in the works.
Okay.
We've maybe set aside a space on by Clear Creek where we're building the health village. We've looked at that. We've also looked at I-5, but we just haven't found where we want our permanent powwow grounds. So it's been kind of moved around. We've been at Shasta District Fairgrounds, and then the rodeo group said, hey, why don't you have the powwow here? And we're like, hey, that's a good idea. Yeah. And people have said it. We joke about the fact that the Cowboys and the Indians are working together. Right. They've given us a night. It's Native American Heritage Night on Wednesday night. And so that's been 2 or 3 years now. And the fact that they just let us go with a program. I mean, they trust us, don't even ask what we're doing really. And so we put on, we do a little bit of education, a little bit of dancing, so we get to educate. It's another opportunity to educate the community at the rodeo. And it's a perfect location. It's got the high grandstands. So if you go to the powwow, you can kind of sit up high in the grandstands and look down on the powwow grounds and see the dancers. So if you've gone to other, I've been to the Stanford, I've been to many powwows, and it's hard to see sometimes. It's an arena, and you've got hundreds of people trying to gather around the edge to watch the dancers. So this turned out to be a really perfect, ideal spot.
That's awesome.
So we just had our powwow in October. It was amazing. I don't think a contract's signed yet, but I'm assuming we'll do something again. We'll do the same thing again next year.
And what is a powwow?
A powwow? Good question. So back in original times, you would meet with your neighboring tribes. You would put your best regalia on, and you would maybe try to spark the interest of somebody or be noticed.
Okay.
That's why you wear the powwow regalia is not everyday wear.
Right.
It's supposed to be sparkly and shiny and noisy because you're trying to get the attention of someone. So traditionally, that's what it would be. Neighboring tribes would get together and they would dance and show off. Nowadays, it's a social gathering. It's actually a whole circuit. So the
really?
The powwow. There's a powwow circuit. There's powwow magazines. The Reading Rancheria is now recognized in that. You could dance in powwows throughout the year. There's prize money set up now. People dance for spiritual reasons. People go on the powwow circuit. So now it's kind of a social gathering place.
Is there some matchmaking component?
Yeah, maybe.
Still?
I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
But it's not just for natives now. We want you to come. We want you
Right.
to come learn about the culture. So a powwow, we're inviting the community. We want you to come and check it out.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You know what? I have a wrap-up comment
Sure.
for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wanted to definitely thank you for having me on the podcast. I think that over the last few years, that's something the tribe struggles with is we have reporters that write about us who don't even bother to call to get our story. So I think sometimes I feel like people want to write the tribe's story for them instead of talking to the tribe. So I appreciate you asking me to come on the show, and we try really hard to answer all reporters or anybody who wants to talk about the tribe. It's sometimes it's exhausting being the group that has to constantly educate, but rather than telling our story for us, I appreciate you letting us tell the story.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. And you guys have done a lot for this community, and you guys have done a great job showcasing all you have to offer. So I appreciate you coming on to the City Builders podcast and telling us straight from the source what's happening. The City Builders podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the chamber, and we could not do business without them.